Yes, the new Brighton manager dancing, but Liverpool far from it. Just 2 wins all season, 11 points dropped already in this Premier League campaign. And wherever you turn, Michael, Trent Alexander Arnold seems to be the name on everybody's lips. Is he being unfairly singled out for you at the moment?
Well, I don't think there's any question that he's not in the top form, not in the form that we've seen in previous seasons. But there's lots of players. I mean, Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah. I could go through the whole team at the moment and say not many players are playing at the top of their game. So I think it is unfortunate for him. But he set these high standards, and you want to be talked about all the time. You know, we wouldn't be talking if you were an average player. We wouldn't be doing analysis on him and be talking about him, so he's probably got to accept that and appreciate that for what it is. But there's no question that he's under the microscope, and we're going to have a look at him again in terms of some positives, some weaknesses.
What in particular is going wrong for him at the moment?
Well, let's look at him from a defensive point. Nobody questions him going forward. Nobody questions the array of passing he's got, his vision, everything about him going forward is just amazing. Defending is where people are pointing the finger at the moment. And we'll have a look at a few clips here. This is against Manchester United, and the one thing I suppose you don't do in this situation is get done on a 1-2. I mean, you're exposed slightly, but a ball can come in here, the runner goes in there, and it's it's one of the hardest things to defend, but you've got 3 or 4 yards on your man here, so you've got to be aware, how is he going to get past me? How do I prevent it? And he's very flat-footed. The ball goes in, and it's not even close. That's the thing. They're finding it easy to get in behind him. So a 1-2 there, and the ball ends up in the back of the net, which is, of course, fingers will be pointed at him. In this situation here, again, on the back post, he knows what's around him. He lets the first runner go, that's fine. He's probably shouted his man. But, again, he needs to be aware of what's around him. He doesn't jump. He doesn't, make any effort to make it difficult for his man. And, again, then we come on to the Brighton game. He didn't do too much wrong in this Brighton game at the weekend. But when the microscope's on, then everybody's going to look at you, and we'll just roll it a little bit quicker and then slow it down. In this situation, he heads it back into the danger zone. Probably not the wisest thing. Could he go back to the goalkeeper? Could he head it high and wide? And then he makes another mistake. He goes inside, starts challenging for it, then slips over, and all of a sudden his man gets on the outside of him and bangs it into the far corner. Again, in this next goal for Brighton, same thing. Decision making. Can he head it? Can he head the ball back? Can he just nod it? He can either just cushion the ball in here, can he head it back, can he just clear his lines and go? Lots of different things, but what you don't really want to do is chest it down and get caught in the middle of, in your half with Brighton players running onto you. And, of course, is the run then, once he loses the ball, is he busting a gut to get back in, to challenge, to try to win it? People will question that as well. So there's a few things defensively that are going wrong at the minute, but we all know that is not his strength. His strength is going forward.
And he's normally being helped out and covered, as we've seen in seasons before. When you've planned to play Liverpool, they haven't been like that, have they?
No, and I think that's, I think Mo's got the actual strengths of what Trent is all about. I think the biggest question what everybody always goes on about when Trent is, it's when the ball passes him as a defender, what's his reaction to it, and you see it. And you'll see it in it's a jog back. When he's going forward, you see him, he's sprinting, and I think that's where people have this sort of perception of Trent, and he's a forward-thinking player. But I think obviously that's where Klopp wants him to play.
In terms of team talks, when other players or other teams are about to come to Anfield, I mean, if I was in your shoes, I'd be thinking he's very dangerous. We'll have to stop it. But also on the flip side, he's probably the player that we can get out most. How would you go about tactically playing against someone like Trent?
Yeah, I mean, look, well, this is a lad who, I mean, everyone's sort of having a pop at, and what we've done in previous seasons, we've sort of stuck 2 out on him because he's been the one who's been the most influential in assists, in where the play goes, where Jurgen Klopp wants to play through. I think you heard him talk all the time about Jordan Henderson having to get over and help him out and be, and do that defensive job for him because of the quality this lad has on the ball. So we've found that in the transition, when we do win the ball back, as you've just said, we can then hopefully expose them spaces, what he leaves, and try and get in behind Liverpool. So, I think this is, you've just said it there, at this moment in time, he's going through that we've all been through it, that time where nothing's really going right. You see it there. He didn't really do anything wrong, did he, against Brighton? But he goes in, he sort of misses it. But then as he goes to turn, he's still with the player and then slips. And then it's like, oh, now he's done everything wrong. So, yeah, I think sometimes it's a bit unfair, the criticism, but I think, you know, he gets enough plaudits, you know, to warrant that sometimes when he's not getting it right to get it.
19th of October, we'll see if the West Ham plan works.
No, don't give me that, mate. Jesus, I shouldn't have done that.
No, it was really interesting insight. But let's remind ourselves, before the Brighton game, that Trent Alexander Arnold's manager, Jurgen Klopp, said this in his defence.
If we do high press, very often, not always, but very often, Trent is the highest of all three in the back. So it means in the high press situation, he's the one who goes through right. And that's the way we play football. Now you can say, yeah, then defend better. You know, you cannot have everything. So if you want to high press, you need players in specific positions. We either way do a striker a bit wider, put a striker a bit wider to cover that area, and a midfield a bit higher, or we cover that the last line with three players plus Fabinho or whoever plays the six, and have him higher. So now we don't get the ball there, and the next ball goes long on that side. Yeah. Now, Joel, Joey, Ibu, whoever on that side plays, has to cover that, and that's fine. That's a risk we take. It's not a crazy risk. We win the ball in 9 out of 10 times. But in that one moment where we don't win it, people ask, where's Trent? And that's a question I don't understand. It's just everybody watches football that often, that long. Why you would then say, yeah, he has to be, that's his main job. But I told him he has to be there. So, other situation, we press extremely brave when we are good. And actually, we defended bad when we didn't press brave. Maybe just were waiting a little bit because nobody knew exactly, will he still go, will he still, all these kind of things. So, we are extremely brave in these situations.
Fascinating insight from Jurgen Klopp there, but what he asks of Trent Alexander Arnold. Yeah. And you've gone back to last season to illustrate exactly why.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a great interview, and I think, you know, we all know that it's risk-reward with Liverpool, but he bears the brunt of it, you know, a lot of the time because he's the one furthest forward. And let's have another couple of looks at him doing what he does best. I mean, look at this for a lung-busting run. I'll just highlight him here as if anybody needs to know where he is, but look at this. I mean, the appetite, the determination to get forward, to be involved in play. I mean, it's brilliant, and then he's always got the finishing touch as well. I still can't, I haven't watched this hundreds of times, I can't believe that he's in this position. I mean, normally you see a full-back in this position given the width and then maybe playing the ball down here to Mo Salah, but no, he's inside taking the ball. When he passes the ball, just watch him, he actually turns around and tells his man behind him to fill in because he knows he's about to go and get the ball and be involved in play again. And then when he gets the ball again, just look at this for a pass. I mean, this is why he comes inside, this is why he gets on the ball. Not many players in world football can knock a pass in like that.
That's why we put two players on him as well.
He will.
Because he can do that.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And then we'll finish by seeing him score a couple of thunderbolts. I mean, there's not many right foots with the power, with the precision that he's got. Again, another example of him coming in field. He's done that a lot this season. And when he gets into these positions, this is what he loves doing. And as I say, you know, on the flip side of that, he'll get his criticism because sometimes if the ball breaks down and he's not in position, he's not in that right-back position, the traditionalists will say, you know, got to defend first before you attack, but it's just not the way Liverpool play.
So how can Liverpool get him higher, get him more involved in that sense that you've just shown us this season and get them kick-started into a more recognisable Liverpool?
Well, a lot of people will actually flip it at the moment and say, well, Trent Alexander-Arnold, yes, he's getting exposed a little bit, but a lot of people are saying, is Jordan Henderson still doing the same job? He used to cover him an awful lot. Is Virgil van Dijk playing as well as he's played? He used to, you know, mop up any danger.
Which goes me back to my first question. Do you think it's a little unfair that it only seems to be Trent Alexander-Arnold that's being singled out here by some people?
I think when you look at that staunch defence of him from his manager, I think then we're starting to look at it and think, actually, yeah, we are all sort of focused on Trent, when there's a lot of players who are underperforming for Liverpool from the standards they've set and then what Jurgen was saying there. So for me, it's a team thing, you know, at this minute in time for Liverpool, and they've got to get it. The sus, you know, they're missing Robertson on the left, no doubt, you know, because I think they actually work really well in tandem together as well, you know, both defensively and offensively. So for me, it's a bit unfair, the criticism going at him at the minute, but yeah, as you said before, there's a few who were underperforming as well as him.
What I do think is unfair is when people criticise him for his positional sense, because I do think that he's told to play there, he starts the press, he prevents the ball going in certain areas because of how high he is, and if ever there's a get-out ball, it's in behind him. I can forgive him all that, but then sometimes his recovery runs, they do need to be better. His awareness on the back post does need to be better. So he can brush up things, but I do think he's still an exceptional talent.
Sorry, I think I was just going to say, you just mentioned him, how quick he was to get up with Mo Salah on one, and then we watched the last one of him, and I think that's where the criticism comes from him, isn't it?